Kelsey Fitzsimmons, Tim Bradel, Martha Coakley. I think we learned today why Tim Bradel, Kelsey's attorney, said he wanted Judge Karp to take over this whole case.
And for the first time, he mentioned two words we've never heard before that are directly related to this judge. We're going to get into what happened today in Lawrence.
Justice, where are you? Michael and Linda are here.
Love you, Linda.
The world is justice. Will we ever find justice?
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing
Will
"Oh
we
Happy
know
Day."
Justice when we see it. To be and Damila lead the way. Hoping justice will win the day. Listener clues, finding justice where we can. Join us now, we're on the run. Justice is waiting, we'll see it done.
All righty then. Welcome, everybody. Good to have you along here on Justice Served TV for our wrap-up show, as it turns out, following the Kelsey Fitzsimmons hearing today, trial in 10 days. So before we get to that.
And because I don't have a microphone, so I have to be careful here. I put it in this chat. I just want to tell you, I apologize to everyone this morning because we were supposed to run it live, and we had a glitch with StreamYard because Michael and I both had, we think, our StreamYard open because he was leaving earlier and then I was going to run the trial, and it wouldn't let us pull it in, but it wouldn't allow us to have sound. So I apologize for all of you that were here to watch. We're really embarrassed, but not so embarrassed because we had Michel Bryant up there in the courtroom.
There you go. And, you know, our massive team, you know, we can only do so many things. And so it was a good little dry run. But here's a very important note. If you did watch it first here without sound and then said, the hell with these guys and moved on, you watched it elsewhere, we are now tapped into the more traditional pool camera so that we're not confined to the wider single shot. Which is it's a world of difference. So we can stream what the more traditional camera is shooting, and they have better capabilities. So the visuals were better, and audio not so much today. Anyway, before we get into that, you know, we have not, for those who think we're just setting up the Kourii Richins case to get you here and then we don't get to it, we're going to get to it. I was kind of surprised there wasn't more to it today. What happened?
Today, this is a big deal. Today, after the defense had said they would take probably a week to present their case, guess what, Michel Bryant?
They condensed a week into a day?
They rested. And guess what else happened or didn't happen?
Well, I'm guessing there was, before they put on a case or didn't, they made motions. Were they motions on the record?
And they were denied.
Those are all denied, of course, directed verdict or however they phrase it there. And so did Kourii Richins dash up to the stand like Fannie Willis and demand to be heard?
If you answer yes, it'd be wrong. If you answer no, you'd be right. No, she elected to stand on her Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. And closings will be Monday. That'll be day 14.
Okay. So that answered one question we had because of that glitch midweek. We thought, well, maybe they're going to have to fill in tomorrow, which they normally don't do, but they didn't need to because the defense case clearly very truncated. Who was on the stand for the defense?
There wasn't anybody on the stand for the defense.
Oh,
no one
that is quick.
To stand for the defense. Remember, yesterday they said there would be 2 witnesses. Today, but he wanted. In fairness, Miss Nestor wanted a chance. She told the judge before the end of the day to talk to her client for about 45 minutes, and I guess they spoke and decided to call no one.
Very interesting. That I'd love to have been involved in that conversation. Just okay. Yeah, I'm sure that was very interesting. Okay, so closings Monday. Okay, we'll do that. Let's do that on Monday then.
Okay.
Also happening on Monday, a follow-up to today, nothing we're going to be there in person for, but it's when the jury questionnaire will be finalized between the parties. They'll get together Monday, 2 o'clock, I think was the time picked for that. So by Monday night, we should have hopefully the final version of the jury questions, and we'll see how that all shook out.
But then the judge said he was going to impound them. I was confused because
if he did, I must have missed that.
Normally they don't impound the questionnaire unless the prospective jurors are brought in earlier, given the questionnaire earlier, they fill it out. then those are impounded. But normally they don't impound the actual questionnaire that is not filled out. So
Right. Yeah, I'm assuming we'll get the blank, but maybe not. It's up to the judge, and he didn't really suggest it's going to be out there or not. Obviously, if they've been filled out, we ain't going to see it. And I'll save my story that I always tell when we get to jury questionnaires about the trial I had where somebody disclosed something on a questionnaire we missed that kind of made it important to dismiss this person. But I'll save that for Monday when we get back into the jury questionnaires. Today, man, there was a lot. The big question going into the day was how much of yesterday's bombshell material were they going to get into? How much was the court going to allow them to get into? And that was a combination of material presented in the motions in limine or the Rule 17 requests. Remember, Tim Bradel, Kelsey Fitzsimmons' counsel, wanted employment records from North Andover Police and from Fire and Lawrence as they relate to Noonan, the shooter in this case. That those were actually agreed upon. The parties decided, fine, we have no real issue with that. Clearly, the Commonwealth doesn't think there's any smoking gun in that material. But the third request under Rule 17 was for Justin the alien's work records, because Tim Bradel's argument is we have, he said, I think 207 videos. We played 3 of them last night. We've got 4, but it gets pretty redundant when you just see a guy apparently smoking a bowl outside the house. But he says he has about 200 plus issues with within the months prior to the incident, saying his recollection, his memory, his ability to recall is certainly affected by this substance use or abuse. So he wanted employment records from the firehouse there, North Andover Fire, to see if there had been any disciplinary matters or warnings or anything that would reinforce that kind of consumption of, assuming it was marijuana, can affect your judgment, et cetera. The judge, of course, was saying, well, what if it was liquor? Well, I think you have the same issue with liquor. But, if you have that kind of pervasive use, if you have 200 plus videos of a guy, drinking whiskey out behind the barn on a daily basis in the weeks leading up to the shooting, well, yeah, maybe that is important. But
maybe the scram device is on the wrong person.
Yeah, you may be right. And I was talking to outside the courthouse. We were waiting for everybody to come out, and I was talking to somebody, and I said, if they had to put a scram on Kelsey Fitzsimmons based on the main bachelor party, and the 2018 incident, I should have a scram. I think we all should have a scram if that's the criteria. Those 2 remote incidents. But anyway, and it was.
Can I say something? I want to thank you, and everyone should thank you. You got up at 5 o'clock this morning. You drove all the way up to Lawrence. You were there prior doing some interviews with Starlink that was a little iffy, but
okay.
And Wi-Fi was a little iffy. And then it was in the courtroom, and we were trying to work on getting this streamed. And then you stayed and you did a lot more interviews. You came back, you rushed right in here, and you put together the production of the show. And I think everyone here at Justice Served TV really appreciates you so much, Michael.
I appreciate that. If I didn't think it was important, and that we didn't think it was important, we obviously wouldn't be doing it. So today was a great day for those who have been supporting the cause, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and doing the right thing, because this judge did a few things that I think were the right thing. So, and on that, the Wi-Fi pre-interview craziness that I was attempting, here's the issue, and we're going to fix this. Let me tell folks what we're going to do. We're going to get a piece of gear that will basically allow us to enhance any signal that we are trying to use remotely. The challenge today was Starlink, which is amazing, is a block away. The courthouse Wi-Fi is not so great. So I'm outside in that little foyer plaza area. Wi-Fi from the court, not great. Too far away for the Starlink to help. So I'm in that kind of, dead zone.
Yeah.
So we're going to work on that, though. We apologize for that. Our hearts were in the right place, but the tech was not. So we'll get that worked out. And it was nice to see, Scott McGinnis was there, and some of the regulars, as we say, and Aiden Carney was there today.
My client in the Jersey case.
Let the trolling begin. And we sat together in the jury box as he was there to support Kelsey. And obviously, if you remove his whole universe from the analysis, this is the kind of story he'd be following as a journalist. Right. So it just so happens that when he shows up, others show up. And when we see the interview I did with him, it'll be a perfect example. I stay away from that crap. I have no interest in it. It is a waste of time, and I'm not 12 anymore. But you'll see how it was kind of foisted upon me when I'm just trying to do an interview. Because remember that the full-throated big motion to dismiss that's coming up in Aiden's case? That's going to be heard on the 27th. We keep, we kind of forgotten about it because it's been pushed down the road so many times. But,
well, here's the funny thing. I was watching another content streamer, and that's content streamer said, well, Tim Bradel's going to have to be here. Then then Mark Betterow is going to have to be there. But Mark Betterow is pro hoc vice, so he can't be unless the pro hoc vice attorney who sponsored him is there. So and that I believe is Bradel. So they would have to get somebody else to sponsor him in to be in the court with him. So that was kind of stupid. I think they'll just work around it. They're going to just work around it.
And Aiden did mention that. He's like, whoa, I don't know. Is he going to be done in time? Because let's talk about the timing. Remember, and we've questioned this from day one. 3 days, Your Honor, 3 days. And I'm 3 days now with all of, and I asked Tim about this. I said, now with all of the stuff that's come out in the last few days, that's going to impact jury selection. And the judge twice today mentioned that. And he basically said, can you guys keep your mouths shut? He didn't use those words, but that's what he was suggesting, because you're going to taint the jury in that pool, and that means longer time to pick the jury. The judge thought it was going to take 2 to 3 times as long to pick the jury as to try the case.
I heard that. He thought it was like 5 to 6 days to pick the jury and 3 days to try the case. So then he was talking about, if I heard him right, because I was traveling, as you know, they would start on the following Monday, not the Monday that we intended to start, which is actually good for me because as you know, I'm in a federal court proceeding the previous week. And I'm like, whoa. We're talking 2 weeks here.
And then it just kind of, he's cleared 2 weeks. He's cleared through April 3rd, which bumps into yet another date. The first family probate court hearing is April 2nd. And that's the one in which Julie Hess will be representing Kelsey Fitzsimmons. And that relates to custody and visitation and all those child issues. We're going to get to all of that and how that has finally started to work its way out of a big knot. But that would, if the trial would overlap, it's another conflict. And you don't want to push a family probate court hearing in that county, because they could say, okay, let's calendar September.
That's what the judge said.
And then Kelsey Fitzsimmons is screwed again because she can't address the issues that she was jailed and prevented from addressing before.
Now along that line, and our chat has picked it up because there was a lot of people suggesting that they were so shocked how great this judge was. It reminded them of Judge Fournier in the Walsh case, right? A really good Massachusetts judge who was inquisitive, who had intellectual curiosity. Who wanted to know
many
things,
times
right?
he said he had that. Yeah.
Right? That whether or not Tim Bradel would elect to go with a bench trial, which means only a judge and not a jury.
Well, I think Tim was the one to bring that up, and it was really out of the blue. And I did ask him about that after the hearing. But he only makes that suggestion, passing thought, because he's now experienced Judge Karp to the degree that he's like, maybe it's not a horrible idea. If that were Judge Bev Canoni, if that were Judge McCarthy Naaman, bench trial are the 2 words that would never enter his vocabulary.
Can we say that perhaps, and when you're going to hear and talk about it, the probation department circled the horses around Mr. January, it seems to me, and Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and McCarthy Naaman, she's gone. And we didn't see the order that says she's really gone, but it's clear that Judge Karp is totally in control of this case.
Yeah, and he asked Gubitosi, if he minded, if he made an adjustment to the bail conditions. He needs to do that on the record. That way later Gubitosi can't say, hey, I never said that was okay. Clearly it was. And who knows what's going on in the back rooms regarding McCarthy Naaman. No, but I don't know.
But I do know what's going on in the front rooms. I do know that I almost drove off the road 3 times today.
First time?
Okay, the first time was when the prosecutor said, Justin alien. The second time is when the judge said, Justin alien again. And the third time was when the other prosecutor said,
Moriarty.
Justin alien.
Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes said, said she was first, and then Gubitosi followed, and then the judge continued to struggle with it. So I feel very vindicated.
Yeah,
and,
the alien. You've taken over with the alien. And you remember the first time we called him the alien on our show? That's the show that somebody reported us for showing a picture of my husband and I on our 25th wedding anniversary. And every time we did, we got a report. And we have our suspicions there. We don't know for sure. But
there might have
we
been
never back down from the alien. His name is Elaine. But it was just easier when you looked at it, you didn't know. So everybody kept calling him the alien.
I think it's so funny.
I'm sure that his family was not happy with that.
Nope. And every time that would happen, I would look around the courtroom and you could see smiles and, people stifling a little chuckle.
The only thing they didn't give you credit for, the only thing they didn't say, that was Michel Bryant from Justice Served TV. But those in the know.
That's right. Those, if you know, you know. And the thing is, if you don't look at the name and you just say it's Elaine, is that right, Elaine? Yeah, then it's not that big a deal. But if you look at it, where do I start with all the A's and the I's? Anyway, I'm sticking with the alien. Somehow, I think it works. I saw somebody did an interesting meme of an alien in a lounge chair referencing the case. Okay, so anyway, court was full, about 40-ish people. And for those who were tuning in early today, there was this first craziness when the single elevator, went out. Courtroom on the third floor. Because of Americans with Disabilities Act issues, you can't make the courtroom inaccessible to anybody who can't walk 3 flights of stairs. And there are a lot of people that would rather not have walked 3 flights of stairs, but they did. And then everybody's seated, ready to roll. Sorry, but the elevator's out. We got to move to the first floor. So that was a whole different kerfuffle and delayed everything by about 45 minutes. So got seated again, similar courtroom size, but totally different configuration. And I mentioned in a post how they had Kelsey sitting at a table behind. Remember, we've talked about Massachusetts, and you like how generally the Commonwealth is nearer the bench. Right behind them would be the defense. Not in this courtroom. Like I said, the configuration is a little different. They're side by side, just like in a more traditional state courtroom.
Is this a civil courtroom generally?
It's hard. I don't know. I did not ask that question. But there weren't enough seats. And so Courtney, Tim Bradel's paralegal, who, if you've watched these hearings, you know how instrumental she is, because Tim often will be like, just a second, and he'll with Courtney. Most paralegals really running the show. Don't tell anybody that. And so they had her sitting at the table. They asked for the court's permission. And that, Kelsey was odd person out. So they put her at the table behind, which was just weird, totally alone. And I posted a picture of that. And not long after that, the judge, sua sponte, said, do you want, Ms. Fitzsimmons to sit at the table there? Can we get another? So they got a side chair and just put it on the side of the table. That was the judge asking.
He was wonderful. He was wonderful. And the other thing that was wonderful was, you see this? What is this called?
A smile?
Yes. What did we? You aced the test. What did we see from Kelsey Fitzsimmons?
Oh,
all day to day.
There were a few times where I think, especially when she could see that the whole, there are 2 custody battles that were underway here. The first one is she was in the custody of mom, really, by that bail condition order. Mom, Lori, had to be with her everywhere. And you'll remember when the last appearance by McCarthy Naiman, she had Kelsey's mom stand up and basically swear that she would be her custodian during the course of the conditions. And they didn't want that for so many reasons. And Bradel was able to get her untied from that. And they've got this townhouse already set up, already paid for the year. That is so important because 2 weeks from now, when they go into that hearing on the April 2nd with the family court, they don't have to say, well, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're planning. It's done. It's happening. And the probation people said, we can have that new place checked out by Friday, tomorrow. So she's probably spending this weekend moving, which would be lovely for her.
It just was great how this is planned. I mean, I just want to give Tim Bradel and Martha Coakley credit here because and also their family members, Steve Fitzsimmons, who's also her father, who had put the unit into her other house. They held all of this good stuff. They held it. this
Yeah.
whole time,
Talk
right?
about biting your tongue.
Right.
Whoa.
And they knew they couldn't give it to McCarthy Naaman because she was, it was like, hatred. Even the order that the mother had to chauffeur her around and be her caretaker was done in court, but was never encapsulated in a written order, which was something Judge Karp had a problem with when he was first at the bench. He said, I don't see that in the order, right?
And that put her in this crazy bind because she's already sensitive. Kelsey's already sensitive to being violated because we saw what happened with the scram, right? So the judge on the record made that requirement, didn't incorporate it in the written order. So what do you do? There's no way you're going back to Naaman and saying, could you clean this up? Not doing that. She'll violate you for asking. So now that's gone. That's clean. She can move. She can get settled in, sets up the perfect argument combined with all of the alien issues that we've talked about for her to get a significant share of custody / visitation. We'll see how it plays out. But that is all now set up. So let's go back to the trial, since that's what's coming up first, right?
Yeah, she's going to win the trial.
Yes, like the trial. What's the trial about?
House.
Yeah. And we have to remember that dripping wet, this case, assault with a dangerous weapon, is for a first-time offender, a year probation, if you're found guilty.
And she already has 100 and some days, over 110 days.
Time served goes beyond. I mean, maybe they'll give her some of that as credit toward the probation period, maybe. But the bottom line is she's not going back to jail, no matter what happens in this trial. That would be McCarthy Naaman-esque, and I don't think that's happening. So let's talk about the trial and what today really meant for the trial. One loss for Tim Bradel, and this I mentioned briefly, was that they aren't going to get the aliens' employment records. So if he takes a stand, and we've now heard the prosecution say they're calling him, and we've also heard Tim Bradel say, I wouldn't call him. What the hell are you doing? I would never call him. But if he does get called, who's going to cross-examine him, and who's going to want everything they have to do that? If he says to the alien, so have you ever been reprimanded or disciplined at work or made to take time off as a result of cannabis use? And he says no, Bradel won't have the records that he wants to get. Okay, he will have the videos. If he says, no, I never smoked marijuana, and then, well, here's the first of 200 videos. But he won't be able to buttress that with employment records because the court said, no, can't have that stuff.
And thank you, Christine Mitchell, 3565, with a donation of £5. Let's get Kelsey reunited with her baby. Yes, reunification is the theme here. But I actually did a double take because initially we had talked about that the defense would want Justin on the stand, and Bradel said, no, I don't understand. This is a very simple case. It's here, here, here. You want to call prosecution? You can open the door up. Go ahead. It was almost like a double dare. I double dare.
Everybody's been so weirdly two-faced in this way because Gubitosi originally said that, the alien is not even a key player. I mean, he was there, but he was not on the second floor where the shooting happened. Not a key player. Now the prosecution's saying he's going to call him. So I don't know if Tim's doing some fancy mind games with the guy or not. He's not sure if he's coming or going. But that's the one witness I can't wait to see on the stand in this trial. I mean, Noonan will be interesting as well. And we'll find out, Noonan's current status. There was some more discovery that was presented, but it is he's off duty. He's not.
Yeah, what happened with that? Because it said that he's on leave. Well, why is he on leave? Well, he's on leave. The prosecution didn't say why he's on leave. He's just on leave. On leave for what? Is he on leave because he's got a pedicure appointment that day or what?
Or does he have some issues? Remember they had put him in that weird status, and yet he was still picking up overtime type shifts and duty assignments that would normally happen if you were on this. It's not a like a disability, but it's a reduced ability to do your job designation, and yet he was still allowed to do his job and extra duties. So I think it's relating to the prosecution is, and they said they were doing it at the end of the day. Another level of discovery was being presented to the defense, and within that was going to be more information about.
Well, we have our juror, Christine Mitchell. Again, thank you again, Christine Mitchell, 3565 for another donation. She wants to let us know that she believes that the alien belongs in jail.
Yeah, well, we talked about that a lot outside the courthouse too, and I don't think this DA is ever going to do a thing, so that leaves it to the feds. It's kind of a Sandra Birchmore scenario, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Where the local folks aren't willing to do their job, so maybe the feds will step in. And as I've said before, without detail, because I don't have the detail, the feds are looking at it, whatever that means. So they'd have to make an independent determination, because there's no way this DA is going to do anything. He's proven that. He's given himself a get out of jail free card that he's playing.
The
On behalf
good
of the
old
aliens.
boy network lives.
And it was nice how Bradel got into that today. That was why he wanted a lot of that information from Justin the Alien's employment, because he's going to make an argument that this guy is getting favorable treatment. He wants the cops to come and patrol his property. Even his mom wants to have the cops patrol so that the mean, evil Kelsey Fitzsimmons and her even more evil family won't harass them. So they're calling in chits of some sort, or something they believe they are owed. And so they had that level of what they call it, benefits going to Alien and Noonan because of their relationship with the cops or the other people in the community. And they're trying to, use that against these guys, saying the reason he's not being prosecuted, the reason Noonan's gotten to work even though he's had issues, because they got favorable treatment.
By the way, Kyle, I just want to thank you again all the time. Kyle Sharkey,
yes,
always sending the documents to us. We're going to see if we can get to them tonight. Michael has so much on it, but if not, we're going to be continuing this case. We have
we almost have a
the best.
10
You're the
days
best,
to,
Kyle.
Yeah, we so appreciate that, Kyle. Like I said, go take a nap. We appreciate that we have 10 days now, give or take, where some of the dust will settle. We can get into some of this stuff in greater detail, and whatever their latest discovery is, certainly we're going to do that. I think the only thing they've impounded is the new address for Kelsey Fitzsimmons' townhouse. So
right.
That means the rest of it should be out there for us, and maybe it's the stuff that Kyle provided. Okay, so let me see. Any other questions about today? I can hit some of my notes here before we look at some of the interview.
We were listening to it, and it went long, and the judge just was so different than we're normally used to hearing. And you know what I want you to talk about too? The fact that Tim Bradel really almost broke down. He talked about how they didn't want her, how they've gone after her, how
they're sticking it to her. They're sticking it to her.
I want you to talk, because that to me was such. And the judge didn't stop him, and Gubatosi and his associate couldn't stop him. Wouldn't. And the judge didn't.
Yeah, they were on the side where I was, which we were in the jury box nearest to them, and there was some squirming going on. There was some fidgeting. I saw Moriarty was doing a lot of fidgeting. As all of that was happening, and the judge, kind of made fun of himself, saying, because Tim is always very apologetic if he feels like he's wandering too much or stepping on the toes of the court. And he said, I apologize for getting emotional here. And the judge said, don't apologize. I asked the question. Just because I might not like the answer doesn't mean you shouldn't be honest about it. And he's very emotional, and it all circles back to the McCarthy Naaman bitchiness that she threw at Kelsey Fitzsimmons for reasons still unknown to me, about especially making alcohol an issue that it wasn't. And not just, hey, I do that for everybody. And I don't think we could argue that if you're in trouble with the law, even allegations, you're innocent until proven guilty, taking alcohol out of the equation is not a bad thing. I get that. Okay. But why make it so onerous? Why have the scram? Why have not just testing, but remember, she changed it to random.
Right.
It was 4 times a day on a schedule. And then after that second hearing, she said, no, what is it normally? And the probation people said, well, normally it's on a schedule. I don't want that. I want it random. So she's carrying
I'm the judge, she said. I'm the judge. I rule this.
So
right?
she's
and the schedule is 7 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Yeah, and so she's got that thing all the time.
I'm in bed before that. If I got a scram notification, I was swear to scram. I could be in bed. It's really ridiculous.
I don't know. You texted me after midnight, so I'm not sure I believe that. I have to question your testimony on that bedtime. So she's carrying that thing, just waiting for it to go off, and then she has a certain number of minutes to blow, as they say. Anyway, we all know the genesis of all these problems, and it's just nothing.
We're good, Kyle. By the way, we're good, Kyle. We're good. Okay.
So you want to make sure we got everything?
Yeah. No, because I put it in public post, but everything we do is public. We don't hide anything.
Nah, not worth it. Not worth it. Okay, so let me see if I had any other tidbits that might have been less than obvious. It was funny as we got toward the end. Aiden said, "This is a long hearing." He said, "Yes, it is. It is, and I'm kind of glad it is because the judge got into all these other things where he could have just blown them off, right?
Yeah.
And said, today's not the day. Because, most of the stuff was filed just yesterday. So let's see the videos we talked about. Everybody calling him the alien. We talked about. And again, if nothing else, Tim has made this court aware that the alien has a pervasive use of something. We're going to have to get him to admit that it's weed, but by all accounts, that's what it is. And he just can't get into the detail to which that might have caused a problem at work. That's unfortunate. Let's see. Looked into denied that. Oh, sequestration they're going to do, even though Gubitosi said we don't normally ask for that, but all witnesses will be sequestered outside the courtroom until they have given their testimony. A lot of the other stuff we talked about is boilerplate, about how you reference the defendant or victims or alleged victims, all of that stuff. Alleged victim was okayed by everybody, but defendant, suspect, all those things are not to be talked about. Prior bad acts. What the Commonwealth did in most cases with their motions in limine was just say, Judge, we're throwing these out there. Here they are. Be aware. There might be issues. They might not. We don't expect a ruling at the moment, but be aware. And so the court appreciated that and said, fine. And then there was that odd, remember we were going over one of them that had to do with prior issues with Kelsey Fitzsimmons, including whether the defendant had fled. And we're like, where does that, well, somebody just cut and pasted that in. There was nothing referencing repeat offender, fleeing. I mean, none of that. So the court
Yeah, that was really.
I think it was just a bit of a cut and paste. Okay.
Really weird. But let's get our chat is really into this tonight. Let's just show some of the chats for a second.
Yeah, please do.
If I could.
Shut me up.
No, because while you're getting next, Debbie J works. Thank you for that donation. That covers a lot of expenses today. Thoughts on a jury trial versus a bench? We'll talk about that. The judge shockingly seems fair. This corruption in this state is so scary. Love you guys. Well, I'm always of the opinion that you go with a jury. But Tim Bradel knows best, and he may know that this judge is in chambers expressed some certain issues that a jury trial may be better. And we're going to eventually, in this channel, have a guest on that went through 4 trials in New York State. His name is Cal Harris. Once we finished with Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and he went through 3 jury trials, and then the 4th one was a bench trial, and the judge found him not guilty. So a bench trial, if you've got that wink from the judge, or it's not even a wink, the judge expressed that feeling. Only Tim Bradel knows that, and Martha Coakley, not us. But I always think that you're better off with having a jury. Could get 12 people to convict her on this case. Ooh, but that's my thought, Michael.
I think that might be difficult. I also think this is one of the few cases where you can't go wrong either way. I just think that. I just think the evidence is such. I think the judge gets it. He's now been indoctrinated into a lot of the background and the details of the incident. And let's face it, even if there is an impossibility in my mind, a conviction either way, she's not going to jail. So I think if I said earlier, if Tim Bradel hadn't experienced the judge to this point, felt comfortable, he wouldn't even be thinking bench trial. But I would be surprised if they go that way. I really would be. Let's see.
So while you're looking at that, I'm going to put up 2 comments. One is going to be, we'll discuss when we deal with, we have an interview with Aiden, Ocean Behave. Aiden, as you know, is my client in the New Jersey case out of Atlantic County. Before court video of a guy harassing Aiden, same guy harassed Dina last civil. Karen Reed, can something be done to keep him from next hearing? The answer is going to be no, because I saw the video of the harassment. It's kind of like what happened to me on the
You're going to see some of it again in the middle of my interview with him.
I can't wait to see that.
I didn't know, because I don't get into this bullshit, so I'm not even going to say his name. But when I heard it, I said, "Oh, that's the guy."
Okay.
And I will tell you this: as I was doing the wrap up and I was leaving, about to hop in the car, and I was kind of teasing what we're going to be doing, he walked down the sidewalk. I didn't really see him, because I was very into myself, looking at when I was doing my thing. So he walks by, and it was him. And he just said, "Hey, I apologize." Because I challenged him. I said, "Are you done?" Because he was doing his whatever he's doing.
Oh,
And I'm trying to do the interview. And I said, "Are you done?" No. And so you'll see how he tries to pester during the course of the interview. But he apologized on the way out. So I give him a tiny bit of credit for that.
Tiny bit of credit. And of course, Kay Schmidt, thank you, gifted 5 Justice Serve TV memberships. If you don't know how that works, you have to be a subscriber, but I'm going to tell you right now, please subscribe, like, share, notify, and hype. And they've already been given out. We have nothing to do with that. That's a very generous donation. They're worth $2.99 each for the month. And she's given 5 of you. Hopefully that you all pay them forward. You'll become a member here in these memberships. And we try to do something once a week for members. Sometimes when we have a week like this week, it's almost impossible. And also, please pay it forward. But I did learn something, by the way, that I want to share with you all, because as we've passed our 6 million view in a year and a half, it's the like button. So if we have, for instance, 800 and some people on watching, let's say we have that, 800 people on watching. The YouTube expects us to have 800 likes, okay? So all of you, if you're watching right now, how many you are, just hit that like button.
Is that even possible?
It doesn't.
That's a high standard. 100%.
They want you. They hope to have 100%, and that gets you more into the algorithm. So hit that like button. Just give me this for Michael, who got up at 5, who traveled and did all this, and doesn't cost you anything. So and we thank Kay Schmidt for helping us. And again, hopefully those who get those memberships will pay them forward.
Okay, this is very important. Next is you always do that. You always do that to me.
I'm sorry. What did I do now?
Back. There we go. Next is Lexus 25. I don't trust the skeleton behind you, Michael. If you feel a tap on your shoulder, I'm gone. It could also be Domino, but nah, that would take a lot of energy. So Domino's not going to do that. Domino was had defenders at court today because I was kind of yesterday Domino was barking and it was just so I kind of said Domino was being bad. And people were like, Domino is not bad. All right. Okay.
I agree with you. Domino's never bad.
No, it was even for him. It was odd. Okay. What was that one you had popped up? So
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, you need to be, apparently you do need to be on your computer to get a membership. Now I could be wrong about that. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Thank you. Everyone loves this. You went there, Sherry Davis, The Truth, 999 super sticker. Thank you very much, Sherry. Really appreciate that.
So one thing that is not going to be part of this trial, according to both attorneys, is postpartum depression.
I was shocked. Because
let's think about it this way.
Wouldn't she be more likely to kill herself if she were in a postpartum depression, except that the police had already cleared her to say she's
That's
not?
the point I made with Tim in the post interview. By the way, we're going to have those interviews. We have the Aiden interview and the circus environment. Then we have Tim, and then we have just a few minutes from Kelsey. She came out separately, and actually they haven't really been letting her talk, but today they probably couldn't stop her because she was so happy with the outcome. Yeah, that was one thing I asked him. I said, it seems like, there's this contradiction. The postpartum issues, at least as far as the department was concerned, had been resolved. So how is that part of what happened on June 30th? So I think it isn't. That's because I'm suspicious, and I think it is an issue, but because there was a deal made with the complaint against Chief Gray, that complaint by Kelsey Fitzsimmons was dismissed. Then she magically got reinstated. I think that was overriding, and the postpartum got kind of just, swept away in that little deal. That's what I think. I still think it wasn't completely off the table as an issue that contributed to what happened that day, but not going to be in this trial, according to the folks. If you want to look at anything while I'm looking at my notes, feel free to do that. Talk amongst yourselves.
Unless you want to run one of the interviews with Aiden while you look at your notes.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that. Let's start with the Aiden one. Okay, first of all, the issue we always have. Audio? Can you hear the audio?
You seem like you're getting flustered, sir.
Well, this is the wrong one. This is the other.
I respect.
Here we go. You're a clown. You're a kid. You're a kid. You're like a little kid, bro. You're a little baby. Why are you shaking, dude? Look at you shaking. Why are you so scared? You ain't used to having some.
Okay, that's not the interview, but apparently I downloaded the wrong one, but I'll fix it while we're on the air.
What was that?
That was what happened after the interview. It was a little bit before, but afterwards they just kind of did that. There's some long animosity between these guys. Like I said, I don't get involved in that bullshit. That's not what we're here to do. But because it was so invasive in the interview I was doing, I rolled on a little bit of it after the fact. I am going to bring up the other one, though, but it's going to take a minute to get it. So in the meantime, let's run the Bradel interview. How about that? Do that. And I will apologize here. I'm usually juggling the microphone, the camera, and then I threw my notepad into the mix. So it's a little disheveled at times, but,
issues. And, we're going to litigate the case in the courtroom. We expect it to be much more truncated than that. And, you heard me say in there about all of the fallout from this order that was wrought upon Kelsey. And that's enough, I think, to affect anybody in a serious way, regardless of their past.
You think there was an agenda here to try to not have her come back? It seems like that was something kind of laying.
Everything's on the table. We're looking at every angle of this thing. I think this thing stinks to high heaven, and we're going to get to the bottom of it, and we're in the process of doing that.
So,
Charlie.
just in terms of getting to the bottom of it, you said you want, and the prosecution seems to agree, you want this to be a relatively straightforward case, what happened in the bedroom. But you also are filing these motions for records and accusing the fiancé of breaking in. And how do those two things go together?
How do you jive those two?
Yeah.
If you want peace, prepare for war. So I want to be ready for it, and I don't want to have any surprises. And you have to be ready. If a witness denies something, you have to be ready to push back. And that's where the documents come in. That's where the discovery issues come in. And I think it's just trying to be diligent about being a trial lawyer to try to get as much background as you can so that you can have kind of very crisp, focused cross-examination and ask your questions in a certain way that you have some heft behind them, and you have the ability to fight back if they deny something out of spite or out of an error or out of just lying. You're ready for it.
The probation and pretrial release has been a major issue in the case, but it seems like you made a lot of progress today. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think Judge Karp made a very good ruling, and we appreciate it. He's obviously trying to be as fair as possible to both sides, and it's an important event for Kelsey. It's an important development for Kelsey that she can have her own place and start to prepare for this trial, and start to prepare for reunification with Aiden. That's obviously the most important thing to her.
And so, are you expecting then the trial will be over by the time the family court hearings come up in April?
4/2 is the first one, and then 4/14. So April 2nd and April 14th. So yeah, I think that it's going to be, it should be done. Yeah.
Tim, you mentioned two words I haven't heard come out of your mouth in this case. Bench trial. What's that about?
Everything's on the table. Everything's on the table. We're just trying to get the best, fairest shake. Judge Karp has been, making fair rulings. He's not treating me with kid gloves. He's calling balls and strikes, and I respect it. And I expect that the Essex County DA will respect it. And I don't want to play any games. I mean, if he shows, he's been shown fair rulings, and he's been showing himself to be objective and fair, and I'm happy with it. And so we'll talk about it.
What do you think happened in the room that day? What do you think? And is Kelsey going to have to get on the stand to kind of talk about that?
Well, I'm not going to open up that can of worms right this second. But, you guys know our filings, and you know where we're going with the case. And we're just going to rest on that. I don't want to, reiterate too much, outside the courtroom on that. We're going to make our case. And we have every confidence in the fact finder, whoever it's going to be, and you know, we want to get it done for Kelsey.
And in court, you said there was a lot of marijuana use. It's almost a pervasive use of it. Kind of, how do you think that will play into this criminal trial?
Well, we're just going to stand on the pleadings and what I said in court about it. You know, we have to just stick to what we say in court on it, and you know, it is what it is, and we're gonna use it. If the door gets open, if it doesn't get open, then we're not going to use it.
I think there's an interesting conflict here, it seems to me. She was cleared to go back to work as of the time of the incident. She was going back on the 3rd or 4th. How do you then claim that whatever happened on that day was part of some mental breakdown or something else, because they cleared her to go back to work and have her gun?
Well, I mean, it's almost silly to call it a curveball, but what she had to endure, you heard what I said in court. All those things happened to her at once, and you can almost imagine how each of these revelations came upon her, and it must have been an absolute nightmare. So, you know, that's, who needs anything more than that? Who could stand that and remain rational?
Can you talk about Noonan? Any credibility issues that you're looking for in that one? I mean, obviously you're going to get his disciplinary now.
So we're appreciative of that ruling. We're going to look at the paperwork, and we're going to do what's appropriate in court.
Can you speak
something
to
there that may have? Because it's only him and her, right?
We don't know. We want to see what they have. We appreciate that the Commonwealth didn't put up a fight on that, and we're going to get the paperwork, and we'll look at it, and we'll make a judgment.
Can you speak to Kelsey's status with the police department? Is she still on leave? Is she going on there?
No comment right now.
Can you elaborate? Well, you said that Justin Alain was a dangerous witness for either side to call. Can you elaborate on that at all?
Just in the sense that there's a lot of material, and you know, lawyers are always concerned about opening too many doors and admitting things that are extraneous, and so there's a lot there for him on both sides that could or could not come into the case.
Attorney Gubitosi said, I don't think that Justin Alain is the key witness, and yet he said today he's going to put him on the stand.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, you know, it opens up a lot of potentialities. I don't know. As I said in court, you know, I don't know. I don't really understand it. It's risky for them, but we'll have to see in court. You know, trials are in the moment. You know, you can't plan every last bit of a trial, and you have to just see how the evidence unfolds.
In your opinion, why do you think there's so much support for Kelsey? Just kind of, do you think there was some wrongdoing here?
I think that people respond to injustice, and I think that's what's going on here, and that's why we appreciate everyone here, everyone standing out in this cold weather, appearance after appearance, and it means the world to us. It means the world to Kelsey. She always tells me, make sure you thank everybody for me, and you know, I want to reiterate that. So, anybody else?
Is Kelsey coming out, or yes, no? Is
Yes,
Kelsey
she's signing some papers. So, yeah, she'll talk to you guys, and so I'll go get her. Okay.
Well, what are the highlights, in your opinion, today of what happened in court? What were your biggest walkaways?
Well, you know, I work for a client, and I want my client to be happy, and that's my number one priority. And she's very happy that she can be, you know, in her own place and get it ready for Caden, and have some autonomy, and have some breathing room.
Should we say former love handover, or should we just say?
No comment.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you're going to be working with Julie Hess at the probate court
Yes.
on the restraining order?
Yes. Yep. So I do the restraining order. She's doing the custody visitation. So she's on the 2nd. I'm on the 14th.
Oh, so not together.
Well, I'll probably be there with her whenever I can. Yeah, and vice versa. She's an old friend of mine. She's a terrific attorney, and I'd like to watch her in action. She just wrote an amazing motion. I hope you guys all have it. She just wrote an absolutely amazing motion, and you know, it speaks for itself, but you guys should really have a look.
Great.
So, thank you.
It's already in the courts?
Yes, it's filed. It's in the courts. Yep. Yep.
Good job, Michael.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was just trying to stay out of the way. And we went over that last night. That included Kelsey's affidavit, which is chock full of just crazy issues, not just with Justin the alien and snorting Adderall medication, and relatives providing it to him. And I mean, it's out of control.
Yeah.
We'll see how that affects any attempt to get a jury impaneled.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty salacious stuff. Okay, so
if you haven't, of course, now I've got it on. If you haven't seen our review of that motion last night, I'm going to put it right into the comments right now. You should take a look at it because it is an amazing motion.
So what I'm going to do, read some comments or something for just a second. I had to download again the interview. Then we'll look at Kelsey, and then we'll circle back to the Aiden issues. Yeah.
And we try not to get involved here and chat with all the bullshit.
Believe me, you'll see how I'm trying not to be involved.
Drama queen. This is we have a lot of a lot of things going on, and we are actual real lawyers, Michael and I. And as you also know, I also represent Aiden. So we try not to get involved. I look at the chat and I see not just our chat. I'm talking about Twitter, X Twitter, and there's so much drama going on. So if we're on legal analysis, try to come here. That's what we try to do. We try to stay away from the drama. I can be a drama queen as well as the next person, but usually that's having to do
enough
with
about
my makeup
shopping.
or my hair and shopping, right? Or as we did yesterday, I saw that we were ahead of time because we posted a thing because tomorrow I'm actually going to be playing in a poker tournament, and we posted a thing last night with Kylie Jenner, who's now giving lessons in that medium in a Dolce & Gabbana bullet bra. Okay. And it was all over the internet today. So we were ahead of the time because we actually had it on Justice Serve TV. We're not promoting the playing of poker.
Bullet bras or poker.
We're just promoting the fact that Kylie Jenner has expanded out into our area, it appears.
Okay.
So
that was perfect timing. I got what I need ready to go. So let's Kelsey was in getting some paperwork ready to go. So then she came out and actually
Way to go, girl! Way to go!
We're all happy for you.
What you're smiling about, Kelsey?
Let's just go start left to right, Kelsey. Go ahead.
So you got one custody battle down. How do you feel about getting a little freedom?
It feels good. Everything I'm asking for and doing is for my son. It's all in preparation for reunification.
Are you ready for this trial?
I'm ready. I'm ready to have my day. I'm not shy to tell my story because it's the truth.
Kelsey, are you hopeful with some the accusations of injustice? Do you think that they will see some light on that, or kind of where's your head at right now going into this trial as far as vindication?
I've always said the truth is going to come out. So anything that's inaccurate, it's going to be revealed during trial. We've held on to a lot for a really long time, and we're still holding on to things. So there's more to come, and it's going to come.
Anything really frustrating going into the trial?
I'm not frustrated because I know I'm going to have my day, and I know that it's going to be okay.
Kelsey, how hard has it been for you and your family to not say anything, knowing all of this? I can't even imagine.
There's no words for what my family and I have been through. There's not a word for it.
And how do you feel about the judge being willing to let you move out and loosen some of the restrictions?
I think it's great. I think it's fair. Like I said, it's all in anticipation to be with my son again. I have a beautiful townhouse that he's going to be able to come home to, and it's going to be great.
And how does it feel to know the trial is right around the corner and the dates are set in family court, to actually argue your case?
I'm eager. I'm eager for that day.
Do you think you'll testify?
No, not going there, Bob. Not going there.
You meant, do you want to testify?
Hey, everybody good?
All right, it was a great day. We're thrilled.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. It
I
means the world to us.
appreciate it more than you know. Thank
Step in
you.
the right direction.
All right, thanks, guys. Go have some chowder and a coffee or something. Come on, it's free.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
I didn't hear that when he said it. Go get some chowder. Dang it. I would have. Somebody had asked who was next to Kelsey. That's Courtney, blonde hair there. That's Tim Bradel's.
Take care. Thank you, guys.
And then this is Will Page, her stepfather. This is Mom Laura. And then Steve was in the background too, her father, Steve Fitzsimmons. Anyway, so that's that was that. Nice to hear from her and see that she's so positive and upbeat, and like you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, right, reflected in her attitude. So.
Right. And somebody I saw in the chat wanted to know about the shots. Yeah, one report says 3, one report says 2. I think the prosecutor in court last week said there were 2, one of which hit her and one of which didn't. We haven't found out where the other shot went.
Right. And so there are, if you believe various stories, 3 attempted shots, one by her that didn't discharge, then 2 by Noonan, one that hit her and one that went. So, yeah. So, okay. Let's see. Anything else coming up before we move on to, I'll do this last interview that I got queued up here.
While you're getting the last interview queued up, Miss Spencer and B says, Linda, I still want you to wear that red feather top. Jimmy, it actually was a hot pink. It was by Legence, LAGENCE. And the only reason I mentioned that is there was a call out. Jimmy did a call out, and he then tweeted at me today, or X'd at me, or whatever you say, X me, and he was ready for another show with more beauty tips. So we're going to try to work on getting that together.
I can't wait. Okay, so let's do this.
So you're here to support Kelsey, but what else is going on with you?
With my case, well, we have a hearing coming up for mega motion to dismiss on March 27th. There would be in Suffolk Superior Court, so it could conflict. I talked to Bradel about this. They're talking about 3 days of jury impanelment in there.
Well, yeah, I got to ask him about that.
It starts the 23rd. And he's talking about going to Thursday to pick a jury.
Yeah, I think they were optimistic in 3 days for the whole shebang, but we'll see what happens. We've been talking about this motion to dismiss for, I don't know, forever.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on whether it's going to be successful or?
It looks good on paper. We make a pretty good argument. Remember, it's been so long, to revisit all this. But the big thing was they lied to the grand jury about the titles of the videos. They claimed that I named episodes things that I didn't name then. It sounded more nefarious than they actually were, in order to influence the grand jury about what my intent was, which was the whole heart of the witness intimidation statute. So
you'd think it'd be hard to ignore that.
What was that?
You think it'd be hard to ignore that?
Yeah, you would think so. You lie to why lie to the grand jury about the titles of the videos if it's not a big deal, right? And they're gonna point fingers, and they're gonna say, who the fuck am I? Yeah. So anyway, they're gonna look what's going on there. So anyway, they're gonna say, they're gonna point the finger at Tully or Krusty Panties or whatever. You know what I mean? And that's it.
Are you afraid it might educate the Commonwealth? The motion, with so much information, you're helping them out?
Yeah. Well, look at this. What is going on here?
Your boy don't want to be
respectful. It's like, this is sad. They're turning this into zoo. This is a serious criminal matter, and unfortunately, this is what is happening down here now with their cordon. But we're still focusing on the 27th, the mega motion to dismiss. The argument is strong as ever. We have 2 great attorneys, Bradel and Betterow, in there that are going to do our best. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then we go to trial. Is what it is.
Pretty nice to see Bradel in action today. He got some stuff done.
Yeah, Bradel was great today. He's spicy. And, the big thing was she gets to move out before Justin does, I guess. And that will help her with probate court, because I would imagine, if you ever see Mrs. Doubtfire, right, you remember you have to have a home in order to fight for custody. And so that's going to be one of her first, this trial, it's like she's going to be acquitted, okay? Even if she were convicted, she's not going to jail either way, right? So what does it matter? So, the big fight happens after the case is over, when she gets her baby back.
Makes you think back to Judge McCarthy Naaman.
Yeah.
She's a piece of work. What do you think of that?
She seems like a witch, like a Disney witch, but luckily she's not here today. I thought the judge today was pretty good, pretty fair, he seemed reasonable. He seemed like the things that he was nodding at, he understood. the issues. And, you know, I mean, this case comes down to one question. You know, was she pointing a gun at herself or at Officer Noonan? And that's the only thing that really matters.
Yeah. So it's a he said, she said in the most, deadly circumstances.
Right. And the cure to that would be body cameras. I mean,
Hey, good idea.
who doesn't have body cameras in this day and age? To me, that would be the default. I'm sorry, you don't have body cameras. You know, the presumption of innocence goes to the defendant, you know. What I believe happened, what I think a lot of people happened, was that, they shot her either accidentally or in the moment, you know, and didn't want to be held responsible for it. But we'll see what happens at trial.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right, then. So
Good interview, and I'm glad that Viper X717Q is a new member here to enjoy. Thank you very much. A good interview. I guess I said I'm going to repeat it again.
Well, it was just so weird, you know. They were
my
just
client, and you have these other people that are trying to harass you a little bit.
Yeah, you know, I wanted both his take on, you know, what's coming up with your case and, you know, your take as a journalist on this case, but couldn't possibly do that without interruption. So anyway.
But you did great,
All right.
Michael Bryant.
No,
You got the first question answered to you. Kelsey answered the first question to you. We are just so proud of you here at Justice Service.
Yeah. I don't wait for them to quite get to the microphones before I yell out a question. That way I could always get at least one in. So, and it was just so obvious, you know, she was just so cheerful through the course of the hearing when things really started to turn her way. And then, you know, when she came out of the courthouse, it was clear she was very happy. So,
but I love
Aiden's
Aiden's argument that if you don't have body cams, the default position is the presumption of innocence goes to the defendant. Great point. If you don't have body cams, let's repeat Aiden Carney's argument. The presumption of innocence goes to the defendant.
Yeah, and that boils down to if you don't know what the hell happened because you don't have body cam, then how can you be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? You don't know what happened. So the body cam is going to help you if you have a good case. Yeah. Why don't you have any?
Yeah. And by the way, tomorrow we are going to premiere an episode. We are going to premiere the going through the jury questionnaire that you heard so much about today. But we're also going to have a little co-play, a little cosplay tomorrow. Katie and Justin were in a phone call. Katie is the police officer, I think, or she's just the dispatcher. Okay?
Well, I don't know. They initially asked for a supervisor, and then she's the one that came on. So
right. So it's very, very careful. But we are actually playing Katie and Justin on that call because that call, especially if Kelsey wins this case, that call, in my opinion, gives rise to a huge 42 USC 1983 and 1981 civil rights lawsuit.
Yeah.
So,
and you'll hear when we talk about it, the very key fact. The call was at 10:30. The break into the house was at 9:30. Why are you calling at 10:30 to get permission for something you've already done? I don't know. So I had to put on an ascot and wear it like an actor. So maybe not. But we do our best to try to convey what that call must have been like.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Michael Bryant, for making that trip. Thank you for all the interviews. I again apologize that we couldn't run the feed, but you saw the feed from other people. It's great. I watched the feed from another person also. We couldn't get it in, and we tried to get law girls, not attorneys, Amanda and Josie in, but we'll do better by the time
we got some fine tuning to do. We'll be okay.
But we're here. We'll be here again tomorrow night for a premiere at 6 p.m. and then Monday again at 6 p.m. where we're going to go through the motions that Kyle had sent us tonight that we didn't have time to go through, and we'll have the closing arguments in the Kourii Richins case.
That's right. Yeah. So that all sounds like a lot. So I better go rest up. All right, then. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. We are Justice Serve TV. And, of course, as always, try to do the right thing.